In this video, my friend, I'm going to share with you how to create an unfair advantage, especially in this time of uncertainty. All right? You don't want to miss this video. Dimitri here. Let's get right into it. What if I told you that the key to creating the unfair advantage is not so much in your skills, it's not so much in the experience you're going to bring to the table, it's not so much in the overall sense of competence that you're going to bring as far as the role is concerned, but it's in something completely different. Self-perception. How you see yourself determines the type of perception you're going to have and the type of initiative and action you're going to take as far as your work or your business is concerned. Let me just prove it to you. If you take two students from exactly the same neighborhood, you bring them to a particular school and expose them to the same type of teaching on a daily basis, chances are they are not going to have the same type of performance. Of course, I know you're going to say to me, oh my goodness, but of course, it makes sense. The IQ is different, so on and so forth. I said, okay, let me just change the experiment. If you take two students coming from the same house where they're exposed to the same sense of nurturing, they're exposed to the same type of family environment, to the same type of ecosystem. You bring them to the same school and expose them to the same teacher, expose them to the same environment at school. Chances are their performance, once again, are not going to be the same. Do I know why it's going to be different? It's something key. It's called self-perception. How they get to see themselves is going to determine how they're going to start performing and the type of effort they're going to be putting into the daily assignment and overall performance as far as the year is concerned. You may say to me, Dimitri, this is something completely crazy. I don't really believe in that. All right, so I can see where you're coming from. In 1968, Robert Rosenthal and I believe Leonard Jacobson, two social psychologists, came up with an amazing experiment. And the experiment came to be known in the world of psychology as the Pygmalion effect. They simply came to realize through observation that the overall performance of the student is also determined by the level of expectation that the teacher is going to have upon them. If the teacher is having some very lofty expectation, the student, of course, will have found ways to push themselves to perform better. But if the expectation has been lower, what's going to happen is the student are simply going to say, yeah, my goodness, after all, I can see through the eyes of my teacher that the expectation is really not that high. So therefore, I'm not really going to try myself to go beyond what I'm actually achieving right now. That was just 1968. But before I go to the next point, let me just digress a little bit. This gentleman, known in the books of history as Albert Camus, was born in Algeria. As he was growing up, going to school, he quickly realized that the expectations of his family, of the ecosystem where he was coming from, were really low. His mother was not a learned person, kept saying to the son, yes, it's good to go to school, but don't worry about it because you can actually start working, start making money. And on top of that is biological. Grandparents look at the same son and the grandson and says, my goodness, how about you start setting your eyes on something more practical, such as becoming a manual laborer. So because the expectation was so low, as the son is going to school, of course, he did not see himself as some type of asset as far as the world of academia is concerned. So he was not putting that much effort until a gentleman, his teacher by the name of Louis Germain, set eyes on him and realized that this gentleman, this young man, had raw talent as far as the IQ is concerned. He had amazing potential, but simply because he was coming from an environment where he was taught to lower his expectation, he was not putting that much effort. So Louis Germain went out of his way to spend extra time with Albert Camus to teach him how to believe in himself. And the rest, of course, is history. And by the time he went on to start winning scholarship to go on to place of higher learning, and eventually became a journalist and ultimately became an author, which got him the attention of the Nobel Prize Committee, for which he received a Nobel Prize for his contribution to the world of literature. He himself looked back and says, had it not been for the expectation that this teacher, Louis Germain, had of me, chances are I would have simply ended up doing something completely different. And these were the two examples to simply justify why I started this presentation by saying that, yes, when it comes to unfair advantage, stop looking at your resume from the place of where you went to school and the skills that you have acquired and the level of experience you actually bring to the table, but start looking at something more intangible, which is simply how you get to see yourself and the level of expectation you put upon yourself. And let me just end up with this, the icing on the cake, to the example of this young man known in the books of history as Tiger Woods. At one point, Tiger Woods, he mentioned something that challenged my sense of navigating history. Because he said, as he was growing up, from time to time, he would go to country clubs in America and he would be denied entry simply because of the color of his skin. And I said, but wait a minute, Tiger Woods, was he born in the 1950s? Was he born in the 1940s? Was he born in the 1930s? I look back and say, but no, Tiger Woods is actually a young man. He was born in the late 1970s. So how can he be talking about something that was not his reality? Because the civil rights movement, it was in the 1960s. So he was born in the late 1970s. So what exactly is this young man talking about? I did some research and I came to realize it is true. One, he was not born in the 1940s, in 1950s. So he was not privy, he was not part of this movement that led to the civil rights movement. In the 1980s, he still experienced this type of invisible obstacle as far as ascension to the top is concerned. But the way he dealt with it was completely different. He said to himself, I'm not going to compete with them through civil rights movement. I'm not going to be protesting as far as this thing is concerned. What I'm going to do is, I'm simply going to figure out what is the best performance as far as this particular country club is concerned. What is the best performance as far as golfing is concerned that they've ever seen as far as this particular golf club is concerned. And I'm simply going to go out there and prove that I was actually worthy of actually being seen in this country club. And that's how slowly but surely he started climbing to the top. Why? Because he said to himself, I'm not going to lower my expectations because of how these people expect me to behave. I'm simply going to level up. I'm going to recalibrate my mind to raise my expectation, not only for myself, but also for my dad. Because from an early age, my dad chose to see me as a prodigy. So my dad has raised me to see myself as an exceptional golfer. And so that's exactly what I'm going to have to prove as far as my life is concerned. Guess what? He turned pro in 1996 at barely 20 years old. Next year in 1997, he went on to win his first Masters. My goodness, stroke of genius. By less than 12 strokes, he managed to win the Masters at barely 21. Why? Because he simply chose to recalibrate how he was seeing himself and to recalibrate how he was now going to perform as far as life is concerned. And I'm going to end with that. What are the three key benefits of, first of all, of creating this unfair advantage to seeing yourself differently? Three things. I will call it simply 3 P's. Number one, it will increase your leadership presence as far as the boardroom, as far as the business community is concerned when it comes to how you see yourself and how others will get now to perceive you. So leadership presence, number one, the first P. Number two, it will simply increase your ability to make better decisions under pressure, which is key because especially in time of uncertainty, there's much more pressure on leaders to make the right decisions with almost less information as far as the world is concerned. So when you come to a place when you start seeing yourself differently, what's going to happen is not only your presence as a leader is going to increase, but your ability to deliver better decision. under immense pressure is also going to exponentially increase. Number two. Number three, last but not least, your overall performance is going to increase. And as it's going to increase, what's going to happen is you're also going to lead other people within your division, within your department, within your business to also bring up the A game. And before you know it, simply you're going to create an unfair advantage as far as your business, your department, and overall company is concerned. Now, what are the 5 practical ways you can simply create this unfair advantage by changing how you see yourself on a daily basis? Here they are, my friend. Number one, my friend, you have to come to a place where you're simply going to set high expectation. What do I mean by that? You have to start challenging yourself to believe that you can achieve more than what the people out there believe you can achieve. Just like Tiger Woods did back in the early 1980s. He simply looked around and he said, yes, these people basically want to belittle me based on the color of my skin, but they don't know the amount of game or the amount of genius I'm carrying as far as this game is concerned. So he simply increased his own expectation based on what he was seeing as far as he was as a player. And that's something really key. Number two, you have to surround your people. You have to surround yourself with people who can help you simply bring on your A game on a daily basis. Look for mentors. Look for coaches. Look for people who can actually challenge you to believe that, yes, indeed, you can do more. You can be more and you can have more than what you've been able to see so far. And this is absolutely clean. Number three, you have to now start tracking all these wins. As you're winning, my friend, start tracking them down, because the more you track these wins, the more you track all this victory, what's going to happen is your brain is now going to register, oh my goodness, this is actually the new norm. I'm supposed to be performing at this particular level. Where if I go, I have to expect things to work out for me. And as you do that, my friend, slowly but surely, you're going to be transforming into someone completely different. Number four, you have to reprogram, you have to recalibrate your subconscious on a daily basis. Before you go to bed, before you leave your bed in the morning, before you get into that particular meeting, my friend, give yourself permission to just take 2 seconds and to speak positively about the person that you are. Because the more you do that, the more the brain is simply going to catch on to believe that, yes, I might as well believe only that, yes, I am the best of the best. And the more you do that, my friend, before you know it, it's even going to become unstoppable. Last but not least, as you're actually raising your game because of your own expectation, because of the expectation of the people that you surround yourself with, because of the higher standard, because you're tracking your wins, and because you're recalibrating your own brain, what's going to happen is slowly but surely, through this process called the mirror neurons. Oh my goodness, 1992, Giacomo Rizzolatti, University of Parma in Italy, simply came up with this fact that, yes, we're challenged or we are led by the example that we see around us. When the example are positive, my friend, on a daily basis, your team, your department, your division will have found no other choices but to simply realize that's the new norm. And before you know, their performance is simply going to exponentially come to a place where you're going to start surprising everyone by the type of numbers you're going to be posting as far as your performance is concerned. All right. Last but not least, if you're looking for a resource that can help you take your game from where it is right now all the way to the top, my friend, look no more. There's a link in the description that's simply going to lead you to Amazon, Amazon.com. Don't see it wherever you live, my friend. There's going to be a link where you can go and purchase your own copy of this book called See Yourself Differently. This book, my friend, is going to be a game changer as far as self-perception, and more specifically, how to change your self-image is concerned. All right? Much love, everyone. The best is yet to come. But now for the best we manifested, you and I have to remain intentional. All right? Much love. I'm out. Take good care.